to start out by saying that I don't know what this thing is. All I know is that I don't want it around me, and I guarantee that you wouldn't either. Regarding our brief background, I just bought my house recently. Nothing special, just a medium-sized place located in a something safe suburban. I have a girlfriend, Laura, but she doesn't live with me for personal reasons. At the moment, I'm here by myself. I'm painting this situation because this is the place where kids will go trick-or-treating. Not some decrepit apartment building, not some house in the middle of nowhere. Just here, in suburban America. The first time it came was around 2 p.m. And this was around 4 days ago. I was sitting in my office in the hallway working on a document when I heard a knock at my door. And the kid-aristic little kid voice saying, "Trick or treat." Not with some demonic tone. It sounded like exactly like a regular upbeat kid. I just brushed it off for some fundraising thing and decided to not open the door. I was extremely busy, after all. Out of curiosity, I picked out my window watching as the kid, dressed up as kind of in a Grim Reaper costume, walked down the road. Off the bat, there were two weird things about this. First of all, there were no adults with him. I didn't get a good look at his face, but there was no way that he was older than 5. Second of all, he didn't knock on any other doors. I watched as he passed every other house until disappearing at a turn. Despite the odd security of this, it was still a pretty sad sight. But nothing that I thought about it for too long. It didn't come back until the following night. And this is where the nightmare begins. I was out with Laura. We were both drunk when we got back. It was late as hell. We both decided to just put on a horror movie before heading off to bed. And about halfway into the film, I hear a knock at the door. An upbeat "trick or treat" followed. Laura was quick to ask, "What the heck?" I remember her whispering to me. I didn't tell her the first night that it happened. I didn't even deem it noteworthy after all. I looked at her without saying anything and just put a finger to my lip. There barely wasn't even a conscious decision, even though instinctive at the time. I got up from the couch and made my way towards the door. Quietly, I looked through the gaps between the window and the front door. And then I ended up seeing the same thing in the Grim Reaper outfit from before. I don't know, but it kind of looked like he was wearing a mask or something. His back was toward me, so I couldn't quite see his face. I really wanted to ignore it, but at the time, I just thought it was a kid, you know? I want to be rude, but what if he wasn't right or something? In any case, I reluctantly opened the door. It didn't move or say anything at first, so I asked it something along the lines of, "Hey, you okay? Do you need anything?" No response. Alrighty then. I turned around to face Laura and asked her what she was thinking. No response from her either. In fact, she looked horrified. "What's wrong?" "Don't look at it!" she said. "Close the door!" she screamed. So reluctantly, I closed the door. "What the heck was that?" I said. She shook her head, still supporting the same horrified expression. "I don't know." I looked through the window but the kid was gone. I spent the whole night trying to convince her to tell me what she's seen, but her response was always the same. I don't know. At a point, she just screamed at me to stop. I told her already, I don't know. That's all I got from her. She just didn't know, whatever that meant. She left immediately the next morning, and it was pretty obvious to me that she wasn't coming back in a while. I did get a parting text from her, though. If it comes back, don't open the door. Safe to say, I was immediately disturbed. Was she playing a prank on me? Seems rather rattling, if you ask me. Couldn't be it. She never does anything like this. Never done it before. Besides, she seemed genuinely terrified. But it was the only explanation that I could master up at the time, so I went with it. Whenever I talked to her after that, she never brought it up. I thought she was trying to pretend like she had nothing to do with it. And she had something bigger planned for me later on that day. I decided to go with that and split too. Following night came. I was mentally prepared for myself for anything she had to pull. I decided to find some food in the fridge. After I stopped eating, I was ready to just sit on the couch and play some Xbox before bed. And then I heard it. Trick or treat! Now, if Laura was the one doing this, then she would have rather wanted me to ignore it. But I can catch her off guard if I actually just open the door, right? Kate was probably one of her cousins, probably. Weird that she's making them stay up so late. But hey, anything to scare me, right? I suppose. My doors and window, my curtains were outside, not inside, and I was afraid to go back out there, so I just heard, so I'll just ask them through the walls. And, okay, I'll just talk to them through the wall. Just force myself to laugh. What's Laura paying you, kid? What a mistake that was. Trick or treat! But when the kid said it, kinda said it louder, that actually kinda caught me off guard. I couldn't place why, and I thought about it. The words didn't seem to come from the kid's mouth, but from more of a general area behind him, if you get what I'm saying. I didn't react, continued to just hear him through the walls, having no idea what to interpret. Then more than 1 second later, there was a big bang on my wall. Trick or treat! It was deafening the third time. I jolted backwards before scrambling onto the couch. What the heck? I thought to myself. I remained stiff for the next few minutes, petrified whatever the heck was standing on my doorstep. I waited and waited, but nothing happened. I was just about to go back upstairs when I saw the police sirens outside my door. Then there was a knock on my door. I answered it, and it was a policeman asking me, and then he started asking me questions. Did you see anything weird lately? Well, I think some kids are doing a prank on me, but no, not really. What was I supposed to say to him? I said to myself. When I asked him how he come, he responded by telling me that my neighbors had called in to explain that they saw something horrible at my doorstep. No descriptions upon that, just something horrible. They just thought that she was on a worker or something. But the call in and something else happened. I thanked him, and he left. Next day, I read my neighbor's doorbell. I heard some movement coming from inside, but who inside did not answer. I just thought maybe he or she was doing something, and I left. I just thought maybe she didn't want to tell me either. I relate what happened to Laura. I can safely say that this was never a prank. I was in a cab coming home late after a night out with at the bar with some work friends. As you pull up to my house, I was just prepared to simply just stumble out of the car. But when the driver said something that froze my blood. He was standing at your doorstep. I didn't look to see what he was talking about. Keep driving. He stared at me. He started to ask me what he was talking about, but I cut in immediately. Just keep driving. But the guy won't just go. What do you mean go? It's some kid. It's almost 1 a.m. What's he doing out there? Look, we gotta call some... He stopped mid-sentence. My head was still facing away from whoever the hell was standing at my door. I can hear the driver's breathing begin to tense. Then I heard him mutter out, "Oh no!" Then all of a sudden he stepped on the gas and freaking ran it. My head hit the back of the truck. I looked over at him and he's witnessing his traumatizing expression on his face. "What'd you see?" I asked. He started babbling. "I don't know." I was focused on trying to get him to talk. I didn't even know that where we were going. And I saw the impact. We crashed into one of the road signs. All I remember is that I just got up and I looked like I just fell out of the car. I didn't have my seatbelt on because when we went in front of my house, I took my seatbelt off, and that's when the driver saw whatever was standing on my door. I looked up at the driver, but he was already out. But he didn't have his seatbelt on too, and he was flown out of the car. When the police came, I called the police, and when the police came, they immediately pronounced him dead. But first, they put their suspicions on me. All I said was that the driver had just gone insane, and we crashed into like a road thing, and he just got flown out of the car. I was sitting in the hospital because I did get some little bits of injuries on my forehead. That's when a detective came in and told me that there were signs of a break-in in my house. He showed me a photo of what happened. My basement window was smashed into pieces. My front door was wide open. I went back to the house and saw everything. My front door, wide open. I went inside. Everything around the house was broken into. My dollar bills scattered around the floor. Stuff on tables were broken. But I looked around for a while, and guess what? Nothing around here had actually been taken. But I just know that maybe that somebody just, I don't know, was in the process of stealing my stuff and then just leaving, just walking out just stopping, just didn't take my stuff and just ran out the front door. I have a question that I have for myself. I don't know why. Why was I chosen? Why was I chosen that this trick-or-treater just come to my doorstep? But logic isn't something that I expect at this point. And I have a feeling that something else happened. Something far worse.